Hello, everybody. It's me, Blueberry Jeans. You can call me Blue, and welcome back to Let's Play Celeste. Last time, we finished off Chapter 4, The Golden Ridge, and we had a very strong, sort of emotional cutscene at the end. And this time, we're going to be destroying all narrative flow by going back and doing the B-sides of Chapter 3 and 4. This is the unfortunate part of the way I'm structuring this Let's Play, is sometimes we will have a good narrative flow between chapters that will then get immediately cut off, but I feel like this is better than... I feel like the only other good option is doing the B-side after each chapter, which I feel like is worse. So this is how it happens, and unfortunately sometimes you have things like this. But, yeah. So with that, we are going to be entering the Chapter 3 B-side, which, as you know, means that we're going to be going into post-commentary. So, take it away, me. In just a second. You see, actually, there is something that I want to talk about right now. This is something that I found out about very recently, as in, I'm glad I decided to do these in this recording session and not last recording session, kind of recently. The very start of the Chapter 3 B-side actually has a secret room right over here. There's this little platform over here, which you can get to through a little technique called a hyper dash. We'll talk about those, what they are much later. And with this, these things, apparently people refer to these as, like, skull binoculars, which I don't know why. That's clearly not a skull, but, like, okay. But with these, we can look all the way over here, and there's a little secret area with some colorful birds. So that's pretty fun. Can't get back over there, so might as well just die. So yeah, with that being said, future me can now take it away.
Hello, it is me again, back from beyond the grave, to tell you more fun facts about this video game. I will be honest, looking at the footage time for this and comparing it to my notes, I don't know if I'm going to have enough things to talk about to fill this entire episode, so at some point I may just let the visuals play. I'll give you a heads up for when that happens, but yeah. Of course, the first thing to mention is the incredible remix that is playing right now, Celestial Resort Good Karma remix, made by Krista Lee. It's very good, very high energy. It's a very amazing tune. The next thing that I wanted to showcase is this old beta sprite for Mr. Oshiro's chase form. It's very interesting. I'm glad that they decided not to go with it. His head does look like a moon. I also wanted to show off some other sprites in his animation during this chase, since some of them are just interesting to me and aren't very easily seen. But yeah, I am interested in Mr. O's sprites. I don't know. I think they're neat. Speaking on track about Mr. Oshiro, another interesting thing about him is his surname, Oshiro, actually translates to castle, or big castle in Japanese, depending on the source. I am not fluent myself, so I'm not sure which is more accurate. But I think that's interesting. Doubt it's intentional per se. I don't know exactly what it would mean, the deep lore of Mr. Oshiro. If anything, I don't know, maybe referring to the hotel as a castle, but I doubt it means anything deep, but I find that interesting, and I thought that I would also mention that. Moving outside of Oshiro himself and onto the hotel in which he resides, the Celestial Resort Hotel actually bears a resemblance to the Grand Budapest from the Wes Anderson film, The Grand Budapest Hotel. Not much about the film's plot seems to have any not significance per se, but resemblance towards Celeste's whatsoever. However, both hotels reside on a mountainside, so there's that. Could be meaningful in some way, but I think it's just, it was a mountainside hotel, and so it seemed like a good inspiration for the appearance, which makes sense. This is in reference to, by the way, the Celestial Resorts Hotel on the map on the chapter selection screen. And finally, this chapter is the very first chapter where Madeline is required to actually meet Theo in the scene where he is first crawling into the vent during the spring cleaning segment of the chapter. Because of this, there's actually some dialogue here that reflects them not having met before. However, it's not the most interesting of dialogue. It's pretty much they just slip in their introductions to each other from chapter 1 into the dialogue that would otherwise be there. But I thought that was also something interesting to mention. So yeah. With that all being said, that's about all I have to say for this chapter in particular. So I will be putting a time screen on the screen right now to when I start speaking again, when I have more stuff to say when we get to Chapter 4's B-side. So if you don't want to sit around and watch this footage, you can head straight to that. But if you're interested in watching me die repeatedly in this B-side, then you can stick around. Chapter 4, The Golden Ridge. I do not have a lot to say about this chapter, so if you thought last chapter had a lot of blank space, ooh boy, get ready. First thing is, of course, we have the Golden Ridge Golden Feather mix by In Love with a Ghost, who would have been a very fitting artist for the last chapter, but that's besides the point. It's a very good... would it be lo-fi? I don't know enough about that genre to exactly determine whether or not this falls in it, but this is a very gorgeous song, even if it's not quite as high energy as some of the other stuff in B-side tracks, but it's still very good. So among the things I have to talk about for this chapter, the first is that the Golden Feather minigame, the Golden Feather technique that Theo teaches Madeline during the final cutscene of the A-side, is actually based on a real, sorry about that, it's based on a real anxiety relief technique, in which, you know, a patient, that's a very medical term, it's not, I don't know, but where someone will basically picture a feather and have deep breathing to help keep it afloat. It's pretty much exactly what Theo does in the main chapter, or Madeline. You get the point. Pretty much the only other thing I have to say about this chapter, since I said pretty much quite a lot about it during the actual A-sides, But one thing that I didn't get a chance to say was that this chapter has gorgeous background art. It is incredible. Easily some of my favorite in the game. And unfortunately, I do quite a bit of gushing about background art in the very next episode, since that's been recorded for a while. So you're going to hear me talking about background art for a little bit. But it's deserved, because this game has some incredible art. And I wanted to talk about it more because it's really good. I love just the vibe of these giant roots stretching down into like these cliffs of the mountain, along with the just like morning sunset. It's very good, and I adore it. So that's about all I have to say for this chapter. So I will be putting, again, the time code for the end of the episode in case anyone wishes for it. But other than that, sit back, relax, and enjoy more death montages. I'll see you at the end.
All right, and that wraps up the B-sides. And that also wraps up today's episode. So, next time on Let's Play Celeste, we are going to be entering my personal favorite chapter of the game, actually. Chapter 5, the Mirror Temple. See you all then.